In a world where Africans have lost their roots, it has become of vital importance to document our ways. In an effort to reverse the brainwashing of the past, where we were made to believe our ways are demonic, we are pressed to create dignified and respectful platforms to unpack our spiritual ways.
Moya, light, Moya, bright. Welcome to another exciting episode of Moya. We are still at Beside Still Waters Boutique Hotel out in KZN. So please do support local tourism in our country because you know what it is. Mazwai, as usual, it is an absolute pleasure to be with you. I bring you the best in healers, in scholars, and in historians. And today I've got another Gogo who's here who's going to teach us about medicinal elements of spirituality, how he uses plants and muti for healing, but obviously he knows more than I do. Gogo Lwazi, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Unjani?
I'm good, I'm amazing. I love how you call me Gogo.
It's because I get a female energy from you, that's why.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh,
Yes.
I love that.
And they like to say that spirituality is not gender.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah, I think it is decentralized. It's not gender. You can feel it when you touch a plant, right? When you're about to work on someone, you can feel that you're no longer yourself. Like you're no longer in this box. Right? You're just everything and everyone, meaning that you are that gender. You can, I feel it all the time in the mountains. To such an extent that I called a friend who was in the Amazon. I was like, there's this thing that I always feel when we're doing work. What is that? And they're like, part of the job. That's what it is. You are now like at the other end of the spectrum, so you're not really in this meat suit. And you're closer to the real you.
To spirits.
Yeah.
So then how does your spiritual journey start? I mean, take us from when you were young, how you discovered and
Yeah. So for me, growing up in a Christian household, I never understood what spirituality is. Even from a young age, I never understood even religion. Because they'd be like, oh, you'll be punished and all. I just didn't understand that concept. I felt like it was pulling me away from play because I was sort of a mischievous child at some point. And it was pulling me away. And here's this thing, I have to imagine this God. But anyway, my earliest experience of the spiritual experience as a healer was when I was in primary school. I remember walking into the bathroom, and there was a guy, we went to school with, and suddenly I just had an apparition of his father, right? And his father gave me a message to tell him, and then my brain was like, what is happening? But at the same time, it wasn't like freak out, like I'm seeing a ghost or whatever. But it just felt like nature. Like this man wants to speak to his boy, and I just happened to be the medium to do that, Now we call it family constellations, the Western school. But that's what was happening to me then. But I don't think I told anyone, actually. But that was my earliest experience of what spirituality is. And then as I grew older, I ticked all the boxes. If you look at the boxes, the South African boxes, I ticked the rape, the abandonment, the trying to survive, running away from home, coming back, a little bit of street life. And I went through the cycles, the drug addiction and all of that, right? And within all of that, it was just me trying to escape, right? And within all of the different types of escape, I found a journey, which is the Sangoma journey. And that journey taught me a lot of things. However, a year, 2, 3 years later, I felt like it doesn't resonate with me because I come from a structure of the Christian religion structure, which says that God is judging, He punishes you if you do right, and you have to be fearful and paranoid. And here I am now in spirituality, and I'm told that my ancestors are now going to look, are you Lwazi doing what's right? Did you do the Shamanic bulls on a partner and all of that? And now we're going to destroy you, Lwazi, because it's not listening. And I didn't like that structure. However, I didn't have any solutions. But what I did is that I decided that I'm just saying, F all of this. I'm out of this thing. I went into atheism. I went into what is now called scientific reductionist, where you just reduce everything to what you're saying, where there's no consciousness. If you die, you die. One day we're going to replace someone. We're going to get someone a new brain. If they die, they're going to keep living. You know, I went into that type of thinking, which is what is ruining the world right now. And that type of thinking for a long time. And then I went back to like working and, you know, selling stuff and all of that and growing career. And this spiritual thing didn't affect me much. I was just going through these different cycles of traumatic memory. And when I say traumatic memory, I'm talking about not only my memory, but I'm talking about like my ancestral lineage memory. Meaning that like the patterns of the ancestral lineage. So the patterns of trauma, the patterns of Ptsd, the patterns of, I was going through those cycles and I was trying to run away. And eventually, I remember a time where I was like, you know what, I've tried doing myself, I've tried this, I've tried so many things, done the drugs, done this, I'm trying to, and my life seems to now sort of work, but there's nothing for me there. There's just nothing for me in this life. You know, now I really want to go. You know, there's a part where you are suicidal and you are just going through despair. And despair is like the secondary thing that you get. Like when you're in despair, people look at you, and that's the secondary benefit, right? There was that part when you're younger, but when you're older now, you're like, you know what? You're younger, man. Like I've had this. This is it. And then I had an idea. You know, I was in the year with that idea. I've been studying tribes for a long time. I've studied a lot of tribes. Like, I study a lot of tribes. From here, the Mazwai, Tanzania, Namibia, you go all over South America, all over the world, Indonesia. And there was a plot in a rites of passage of a tribe in the Congo, near Gabon. That's like Gabon and Congo. And these guys were like, if you take this plant to see your ancestors, right? I was like, Yazi, maybe before I die, I can get this plant, because I've tried everything. And if I get it and just take it, maybe I'll just say to my ancestors, yeah, I want to die, what do I do? Maybe they'll have an answer for me, you know, or God, or whoever I'm going to see them. And I kept looking and looking online. Luckily, I got another plant, but it's from Peru. Got that plant. And I waited for it. I thought it's never going to arrive. I thought, people just rob me of my money. But I don't care. Anything happens after it. And then the plants arrived. And that plant was the beginning of my next journey, now as a healer. And I took the plant. Oh my God, I feel like I'm overtaking your podcast. Go ahead.
I'm a listener.
Okay. I took the plant, right? And I cooked it, you know, I was reading some guy who wrote about it online. And I took it and oh my God, I went through the most traumatic experience of my life. I mean, I've survived quite a lot of stuff, right? I've survived a lot of stuff. We grew up in an area in the late 80s, early 90s where there was IP versus NC conflict, black and black violence. And I've seen a lot. We ran away, we were shot at, like, I've seen a lot. But that experience comes nothing to what I experienced. Everything that I could ever imagine. The PTSD, the sexual abuse, it was happening to me within that moment until I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take this. I'm sorry. Until like, I'm just here because I'm lost and I need help. And I need help here, I'm screaming. And I'm alone and I didn't do all the processes of using that medicine. And it's punishing, like it is. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. They're like, we haven't finished with you. It is crazy.
Who was with you when you took the
I was
plunge?
alone.
In your flat, you won.
No, I actually went to, because I read somewhere some Western guy said, no, you just need like an area that is a mountain area. I went to some hiking area, but I isolated. When I took the plunge, it said isolate. So I was like, oh, okay, this part is just saying isolated, but it was gonna whack me. I remember saying, I'm so sorry, and I'm holding something, and saying, and all these things are just happening to me. Then slowly, yeah, but now the difference is, psychedelics, they can't explain to someone who's never taken them. When you take like such a big dose, this is very much. Because I thought Taiwan is the state, I was a scientist guy experimenting. And, but what I can explain is that it's like, just like we are here, you are in another world. Just like you are here. So you can't come back from that world and say you hallucinate. It's not like you're dreaming. Like, no, I'm going to hallucinate and dream, it's nice. Like you're taking mushrooms at a party and with those type of medicines, the stronger ones, you do go. And the first thing that you experience, you feel like you're dying, you feel like you're losing your body, you feel like you're losing all your power, until you eventually let go and you're like, if I die, then you go into these worlds. And then when you go into these worlds, now, even when you are like, I want my body, you can't reach your body. You're like, then it's like, it's crazy, right?
This is witchcraft, the real thing.
Yeah, man. Oh, it's nuts, and then
How long did this thing take?
It was 18 hours.
Wow.
Sometimes I think maybe I died that day. But anyway.
Did you stay at that hiking spot for 18 hours?
I stayed there, and then when it gave me a break, after 7 hours, I reached out for my phone, and I was trying to call a friend, and I said, just please come and get me, please help me, locate me, just find me. That's all. I needed help so much. It was so traumatic, but long story short, before I get to the long story short, within that journey, then suddenly I'm like, I just need help, and I'm like, I'm in some ship, there's a war, now I'm fighting, and I'm like, I don't want to be here. And I go to other lives, and then suddenly I see Ancestral. They're like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I don't know, I just want to die.
No problem.
Oh, guys, an experiment.
I am a push.
I'm telling you, hey. Imagine, see, this is the craziest part. So I used to have a motorcycle delivery business. And I used to have a super bike. So I went to this place on a super bike. And here I am now. In the Latini. There's a motorbike waiting for me there.
Heli Luca.
Because I thought I'm just going to share this. Go on the bike. That was so nice. I discovered it.
Hey,
oh my God. Hey, bro. It's mine. It wasn't. It boxed me. And then the lineage, right? The lineage, like the ancestral lineage came through. When it came through, there was a sense of relief until they started showing me, like, the problems of the lineage. Like, we generally believe that, because, oh no, I'm paranoid because I'm paranoid. Or I'm depressed because I'm depressed. Or I went through sexual trauma because I went through sexual trauma. But it's not you went through sexual trauma. That thing is passed along your generation. I would say as far as 80% of the time, if not 90% of the time, it's passed along. It is a pattern that has been passed along, and that pattern has never found closure. So it gets to the next one, You like walking with an advert, right? An advert of Ancestral that says this is what's allowed to be done to me. And the other person is walking with that advert of their Ancestral. He's like, oh, same advert, that's time to match. Let me take advantage of you. So you are literally walking with that. So what I saw, the Ancestral was showing me now the cycles of where all these things started within the generation. I'm like, hey, now I'm being shown in some different rooms, like Rockefeller's, I'm going there, somewhere in Tata, sometimes somewhere in another, I'm like, oh, okay. Nah, they're showing me this thing. This is where then it passed along and passed along. But all of that, it was just showing me the pains, right? It wasn't showing me, because it was like gift and the curse. It wasn't showing me the gifts of the ancestors. It was showing me this very painful. Until a cousin of mine who had recently passed away, we're not really close. We're close on a cage, but we're not close anymore. He just came through. And he said, guys, it's enough. Lwazi, it's a child. He didn't know what he's doing. And Lwazi, don't worry, I'm going to show you around. That was the first time where I felt a sense of relief. Because I thought that I'd lost my life. And I thought that because I've lost my life, I'd lost in such a stupid way. I'm going in hell now. I'm gonna be in this hell for the rest of eternity. So when he came through, oh bless him, I thank him so much. When he came, it's such a random come through. He came through and he's like, I'm gonna show you around. So he starts showing him around these different dimensions gently and all of that. And maybe after 2 or so hours, and he shows me different ancestors, different makeshas, umkulus, and all of that. And eventually after
like
that...
Like at a family thing, if someone is showing
yeah,
you
like showing me who's in Yes. And then we went to, I think, Transkei with him. So this is all happening within the journey. Alright, it's like, just like you are here, you are in another place. Like it's so... Some people say it's more real than here. If you read like my reviews of this type of stuff, some people are saying that part is real. This is where it's just a game. Because you are feeling all of you when you're there. All of you is working. Like you are extrasensory. Like you don't even talk, Nabandi. You just see each other and you communicate. So it's like you are the same,
It's that world, the ancient world.
It's the ancient world. And that world, by the way, now that I'm, after all these work, doing so much work, I realized that people in the past are just connected with it without even medicine. Like, they're just connected. They knew this is matter. Like, the nature is matter. But they knew it. Like, I know it now. They knew it. But they knew it because they were not disconnected by the system that we created and the cycles of society and things. But anyway, yeah. This guy then shows me, and then soon he leaves, and all this type of chaos starts again. All types of traumatic things start again. I'm like, I want to get out of here. And then...
Like, it's just like a nightmare, Moss.
It is a nightmare. It's the
that
worst.
That feeling where you can't get out the dream, but it's painful and...
You're not in control of your body. Even the moments when you come back and you're trying to look at your hands, you're just seeing like snakes walking on you. And sometimes you like... And you feel like your hands are just going through you, and you're like, am I alive? And you just touch the grass, and you're like, what the hell is happening to me? Yeah, man, that was a traumatic experience. But then there were these guys, 2 men. Those men, such a blessing. They came, they started singing for me. Within this, within all these traumatic experiences, within lifetimes and lifetimes of different pains and different lives, different things that I've been living. And they started playing some music for me and they sing it like, and they keep singing. And these guys are from, they look like Aztec men, like Mexican, Amazonian. And they just singing for me, and they half naked and near a fire. And then now it's almost like I'm laying near them, and I'm like, yeah, oh, but thank you. They're like, oh my child, this has a food that I know so we're gonna show you what you did wrong. And then they started showing. I'm like, but I don't want to be a healer. That's not what I wanted. It's not like I never thought. Like if Lwazi in his mid-20s, right? You would have told him that I'd be doing what I do now, I'd have told you probably crazy. I will never. Yeah, I will never do that. It wasn't like the shimmering light for me, like what I've seen with people now, where it's like, oh, healing space is shimmering light. It's not. Even now, I don't enjoy the process, I enjoy the outcome. So it makes the process work when I take people through these journeys, right? But so yeah, these men, they were singing, they showed me different medicine, Egyptian ayahuasca there. This there, different, showing me some things that you blow through your nose, and they're like, I don't know any of these things. They're like, you should have done some sage, cleared the space, and they're telling me, oh, I'm like, clearing what space? Leave me alone. But anyway, it was calm, and I felt when those women were singing, I felt so much like coming to my. I'm not back, but I'm slowly tracing which Lwazi has ahead. You know, like I'm coming back. And then the long story short is that was so horrific and tragic that I went back home, tied to a seatbelt. Someone eventually helped me. Yeah. And then when
they found you.
yeah, so I was now walking, like falling, and someone, and then I was helped by 2 people. So then when I got
So
home,
they found you somewhere, you're falling apart, you're dying there. Then they're like, oh my God.
yeah, I said I was now going, please help me, somebody. And then they're like, put me in a van, you know, I left my bike there, there was no way I could drive. I get home, I think it's all. When I'm going home, I'm seeing all energies. I'm on the robots. I'm seeing someone say, you know, like that type of thing. And who's you? Who are you? You know? And now you start learning that, you know, when you open yourself up that way, you are not inviting visitors. The realms you are visiting you as well. So when you play with this, like you are opening yourself up, and the realms that you are thinking, I saw I was in this realm, they are also visiting you. Open yourself up. So I learned, it was a very hard lesson, but I got home and I was on fire. I was on fire, but the thing is now I was singing with these guys, you know, these curanderos, you know, as they call the shamans who are singing for me, and I was singing for them, and they were telling me truth. And I was them, like telling truth through song, right? And I'm telling truth, and I'm telling, now a friend had come over to try and help me, you know, and they just recorded me. It was magical. They just recorded me, and I didn't care. You know, I'm just like in a trance, like, and I'm singing all these things that happened to the lineage, and I'm talking about them, and it's all so good. And then comes the next 3 months, which were like, I died. You know, the next 3 months, I couldn't come back to this realm. I was now back physically, but my mind, the software of my brain, my programming, my whole life, the civilization of culture, which taught me that I'm this material thing walking around, was now being really punched in the face in a way that's so challenging that I don't even know if I've lived multiple lives. I don't even know I don't know. Because so much happened. You know, I saw dead people. I did this, and there's just so much. And then my brain was like, you did die. You died that day, and you're still dead. You know, just like the man you saw on the ghost, you're also looking for a body. So I pulled back from everything for like 2 or 3 months. My brain wasn't back. You know, it's so crazy because it's only this year that I'm telling this story, but people never knew that story of how things started. And then a couple of months later, just like the man said, that you want to come back, somebody said, cook this medicine, because I had a lot. I had like 5 people. And on my first time I cooked for 3, and I just so I cooked, and then I cooked it, and I followed all the procedures they told me. And oh my God, I had an amazing experience, and it was so, and it healed the stuff now.
The second time around.
Yeah. Almost like they caught the problem that we healed it. You know, I'm like, hey, this thing. But within that healing, I had spirituality, which is what I didn't have.
Oh, the first time.
Yeah. Within that healing, now I'm like, wow. I'm something else. I'm not only consciousness. Because I honestly, Ntsiki, I honestly believe at some point I said, if a human being is a nervous system, like a brain and a heart, right now we can replace a heart. One day we'll replace a brain. And just increase the memory. So my brain was in that reducing things, you know. And then the second time, then I got spirituality, and then they taught me, they carried on teaching me, and I
So what happens the second time you take it? What's the difference? Like what happens?
Oh, it was magical in a way that everything was calm. Right? I still come out and go to these realms and see things and see the ancestry again, and have some people who are telling me different things in the ancestry, wanting different things. Please speak to my child like this, tell it to visit me. And it was all of that. And then the area that I was in was telling me the history. I saw this guy was a person, and he was telling me the history of the area, and and it was very calm, very gentle, and that made me say, oh, this could help me, because it started helping me like that. And then I had another journey, and then eventually one day, I still was running the motorcycle business, and one day something said to me, as was, you can help someone with this. I had a friend who had clinical migraines and working on a lot of trauma and a lot of that. And she had never seen her father. She didn't know who her father is, right? Mom didn't want to know because of many reasons. And then within the ceremony that I took her on, following the advice that I learned, that ceremony, she then found her father. The ceremony, her father had passed away. He came through and spoke to her. And then there was a time when she was under the medicine, when she was like, there are 3 horses coming. And those wild horses were so far. And they came through and I saw them. And so it was almost like the medicine.
You saw them how? What do you mean?
Like physically saw. Like, when she was under, she's like, there are 3 horses coming that way, don't worry about them. They say I must tag you. Whilst she's under.
Yes.
Yeah, my father says I must tag you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
Do you see the horses in your head, or you mean?
The horses now I'm seeing them physically. She's under. And at the time I didn't take medicine when someone's under.
And then you see them in the yard or
I
something?
No, we're in the mountain now. And I'm reciting this now. I've been taught all of these things, right? Yeah, so I see these 3 horses and I'm not scared. And they pass along. So my brain came back, my scientific mind, was like, what is this? And then, and I was so excited because I needed her to trace her father. We're using that knowledge. And she did confirm that. So that was the first magical experience. That I was like, this is pure magic. And if this has done what it's doing for me, I was already started my healing journey. I was working quite a lot, on myself. And it was like, just like how a traumatic experience shifts your life and makes it turn left. This is a positive, I don't know if there's something called positive trauma. This is a positive experience that makes your life turn the right way. So I saw that and it was just magical, and that's how I started having people coming through. And all my programs are designed by what I learned in ceremony. My programs, how I help make people have rites of passages, because I can see, sometimes I find the 60-plus-year-old men who are very infantile, they still kill their boys and they're competing with their children for mother's love on their wives and all of that. And I was taught all these things on how to, and all my knowledge that's coming from indigenous tribes people, that they need a rite of passage. So I created these programs now. And that's how my crazy journey happened.
So you work with immunity?
Yes.
To heal the spirits. And then you specialize in this one called ayahuasca.
I specialize in Wachuma and ayahuasca. So my first in was Wachuma, right? Peruvian Wachuma.
Okay.
And then it's a plant from Peru. It's the first plant that I took. Yeah.
Oh, you were there, okay.
Where I really went on a crazy high dose on a very old plant. Old plants are usually, they knock you a little because they need to push you, typically. And even those ones who grow up in a bush in an ugly way, they typically knock you. And so that was my first one. And within one of the ceremonies, so I was like living a private life where I'm going to a ceremony and I'm teaching a friend to hold space for me. This is so weird. I'm teaching a friend to hold space for me based on what I've been told by these men. And then my journey started like that. And then I had this private life where I'm living that life and people don't know. But my life changed dramatically. If you grew up, I don't know if you remember those songs, IFP versus Ntsiki. Every once in a while I'd have this headache of paranoia. It was this paranoia trip. I call it like it was like clipping me. And whenever I'm stressed, I go to hectic paranoia. And I had to learn to live with it. And I saw how that was worked on. And I saw all these parts of me starting to change and develop, and it was just crazy how it was happening. I did some of the practices that I've learned, I see why I had to know science, because it helped me take the stuff that I'm learning in the journeys and make them practical type thing, and create a psychological techniques or whatever, if you want to call it that, to help someone, and I'm the first people. So yeah, that was my journey, and then slowly I had more people, coming through, and eventually I had to just let go of the business, that I had, and then I went into this full time. That was the magical journey. And now I've experienced so many things, I've experienced being bewitched. I didn't even know something exists from the Amazon. I have experienced so many things within my initiation ceremonies where I'm being initiated by the medicine. I've experienced a lot of things. They make me live with some entities, this dark world, and just to initiate me into holding space, right? And people ask me, Ntsiki, because I'm like the background band, right? Because I have like a lot of healers who come through, like your psychologist, your medium, your prophet, your sangoma, who just wants to find a proper direction versus the one that they're told. So they usually ask me during some ceremonies, they're like, how do you hold space for us so many days? How do you do it? And I'm like, yeah, I've been initiated. I'm not fearful of whatever comes out of it. And things do come out. You do find within a lineage that there's some edge, something that went in, that has to be removed. And that thing, I'm not afraid of it. Even like the strangers. When you are doing these shamanic ceremonies, there are a lot of strangers who are roaming. Typically it's someone who's passed away, killed themselves, or someone who's died without wanting to go, etc. And they're just lingering around. So they're looking for a body to live in order for their life to be real. And now they want to come into your ceremonial space, right? And you just say, surrender, Rumania. So, but with everything that I'm saying, I keep going back to my 25 or 26-year-old self, and I'm thinking, what am I saying? Because I'm talking to you. But this thing, you can only understand it through a lived experience. That's all.
You just said something so interesting, because you would think that when any Moya that you don't want to come around, you need to be violent or whatever. But the way you just said, I'm Manda,
Yeah, I am Manda.
So it's as simple as just vocalizing,
guys. That's simple. You're like Hamala, in the tribe. And the first time I experienced that, there was a young boy who wanted to come into ceremony. And that was the first time my earliest time, right? I think I remember because it was like a 9-year-old child, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's just looking at the ceremony happening, and he's walking in, and the space is closed, and he can't come in, right? And I'm like, should I let you in? What do you want? And he says nothing. Then I say, okay, if you want to come in here, you have to change into love. But if you're not ready to change into love, then you can't come in. Only to find that it had to do with this man who was being bewitched, who was bewitched. It was some boy. It's a long story. And it actually affected me. It was one of the first ones that actually affected me. I had to go to the medicine journey to actually try and solve it. But it was part of my initiation process. And now I don't care. Something can be hard and challenging. It can come through and try to interrupt things. But it is what it is, man. I mean, you can live with it and you can dispel it.
So are you saying that witchcraft is real?
I'm shocked that it is real. I'm shocked that it. But what I want to say as well, you need to hear me, because I know people will be like, okay, what about the Western world? What about the... Because you can see that witchcraft and all those things are Southern mysticism and Eastern mysticism, not Western, which is like Christianity to you. So what I want to say is that the witchcraft element, you need to understand, right? This is what I learned. You need to understand that you are the highest concentration of spirits in this realm. The highest. So any other entity, someone can send you, they can literally do what they do in Central Africa, which is very harsh, where they just cut someone, once they're still alive, and they use them and use as boots. They can literally do that, right? And have the roaming spirit come into But that thing cannot affect you because you're the highest points of spiritual power in this realm. You are the spirits in physical. They are spirits in non-physical. They have zero power. So the pyramid is shaped up. They have zero power when it comes to you. So when you buy into them, that's how they become alive. That's why they need attention to breathe, to finally be here. So most people, they don't understand that, and it's very challenging, especially taking healers, you know, even within the lineage that I come from, which is Sangoni, of course, and it's very hard for them to understand that dynamic. Like, it's almost like you need to get rid of the psychological brainwash, the framework that comes with the West, actually, that says that now something can affect you beyond, but you need to, it's your rite of passage. Even the dark entities, you know, always tell Ama healers, even the dark entities that you meet along the way, they are there to teach you, because you need to rise. You think you're just here on this planet for money, but there are many other games you're playing. You're playing the spiritual game too, you're playing the physical health game, you're playing the financial game. All these games that you wanted to play are now going to expand you even further. And that's how you get to enjoy. When you go back home, you're like, what a journey! You know what I mean? Like, what a journey! Oh my God, that was wild! So I was molested at 10 years old, and then, oh my God, and they like, well, I'm home. You know, you're finally back. But it's hard to tell someone that, because these type of things, I like these conversations because they slowly start to unpack what most people are not aware of. That the world is so big, you'll never understand it. This life is so big, you'll never understand it. However, you can experience some things like the medicine journey directly, right? You can experience things directly. And you know, how many years have we been living as humanity since we started this civilization thing, which is counter humanity? How many years have we been living just with programming and saying, no, it's just programming. You've never felt it. You just program. And people of the past did feel it. And now we're so lucky we meet that help you feel it. Isn't that amazing?
It's so deep. But the thing is that, you know, as I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm like, oh my God, this is why back to
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
Because everything you're saying is so, you have
It's wild. It's wild. It's wild. So a point where whenever I'm going into a social group, I usually don't even introduce what I do. I just say I work in a call center. I don't want to explain to people and unpack all these things that I know I'm going to mountains and we do ceremonies in caves and we turn into poison over the week. And I also help your psychologist. So time. But all of this, you know, abanye abantu will look at this and think ukuthi, oh, ngiyamuzwa mina ulwazi sithini. Yazi ngiyafisa experience of that. I want to experience of Lwazi superpowers. And I want to say that with me, with my hand, it's all about your healing. It's not about experience. I don't do the experiments. I see there's a lot of experiments happening. There's a lot of vacations. You know, like, I call it a spiritual excursion. Where you're like, oh, I went to this place, Costa Rica, and I did Ayahuasca, and I saw some Lula. I don't do that. When you come to my hand, I'm gonna bully you into a new world. Like the medicine, not me, the spirits of the plants and how I work with them, they're gonna bully you to a new world. Sometimes they gentle, but in most cases they're quite bullish. Like they're gonna push you very strong to let go of all these problems that you've inherited and are holding onto. They're gonna push you very widely. They push you sometimes even after the journey. Like you'd be sitting at home and you just go into a ceremony. And you're just alone when you're calm. But now when you've been through ceremony, it's not as, you don't have as much resistance as the first time. Right? Depending on the dose and the type of how the medicine grows. Because every plant has different spirits. But it's not gonna be, because now it's a feeling like your brain, you've opened up that part of you. There's a lady who was there's a lady of sciences who had who was just going through some spiritual stuff and was very confused. And she went into, I love working with the scientific community, by the way. She went into, was going into trances, and then eventually we did work with her. And then what was happening is that as much as the work was doing the miracle of the medicine was happening, she also, but now was going into like these medicine journeys without the medicine. Then she consulted someone who's a close friend, someone was helping with the trance Sangoma. Then Sangoma said to her, hey, this guy opened a portal to her, and I don't even know how to close it. And I said to her, listen, these are not portals, this is you remembering. The medicine was the one that came to help you remember. If this was 500 years ago, you wouldn't have needed medicine. You'd have felt motherhood. You'd have, this feeling that you are abandoned and all of that, you'd have felt that you belong here. The sun is part of you. You felt it. Because there's no disconnection. There's no violent things like what we have right now. There are no phones and devices that are trying to pull you away. There's no agenda that is trying to make you seem like you're just a particle that doesn't have any energy. There's no agenda like that. So things have shifted. And now the medicine is almost like coming at a rescue. It's been here forever, but now it's like resurfacing, coming at a rescue to remind us and say, I go, whatever, I go. Hey, we've been coming through dreams. Now he's sending the plants to you with this person to try and make you remember who you truly are. Because at your deepest core of being, you are the strongest frequency of light and love. At your deepest core. And we've lost that over years through environments, and it's part of the game, right? We've lost that over the years through things that I know with some people's ceremonies, they go back to like 3,000 years ago, where they're literally running away from elephants or whatever. And they are shown this is when abandonment started in your village, because there was no way that these parents could take care of you. If you're pooping, you're peeing, you're crying, they didn't care. All they cared was your survival. If you eat once a day, they didn't care. So that was passed along and it's been an open energy. Now you are here finding it's time to heal it. And that is what guides my whole work, right? What guides my whole work. A word of warning, it's not for everyone. You know,
Sounds like
I do a vetting process.
Yes.
I can see if you're ready or not. Sometimes people get through and they're not ready. And every once in a while when that happens, it's because the medicine wants it. That's how I take it. And the plant is not something that you depend on as well. You can't squash. You can't be like, I said it because it's all, you can't be on the excursion one. So you're like, oh, I'm going to Costa Rica. That can be like nice. But this is like, sometimes people come out and they're like, I never want to experience this again. I finally get it. You know, and they go and they live their lives in a different way. They reshape their ancestral lineage and the pattern and the energy that was always there as your shadow finally finds closure and it's finally at peace, no longer protecting you. By the way, that sounds crazy. So, you know, you asked me before this as to what do you want for this, and I said contribution. I want to help people be aware of stuff, right? The modern day psychology has really moved us out of reality. In a sense that it's anti-human, it reduces you to your brain. Now when someone has depression in the modern day, they say you have a chemical imbalance in your brain, you have bipolar chemical imbalance, there's something wrong with your brain, and because there's something wrong, we're going to give you these pills or you're going to put some electric shocks in you, so your brain can come back to balance. However, when you are excited and happy, peaceful or in serendipity or having all these glorious moments, our brain goes into a chemical imbalance. But it just shoots different chemicals. And now we don't say, why is my brain in chemical imbalance?
Exactly.
However, when you're down, you just look and you're like, when I imagine this is, this is serotonin. Well, let's put more so that the dopamine can, you know. And that's what we are doing. And now we are actually tinkering with something that is, the brain is so sacred, you know, and now you're tinkering with it, and then it starts closing some parts of you, all of this tinkering, and you can't access it, and you're on antidepressants and all of those things. And I want to say that your depression. My typical people are, if it's not the healers, it's people who have depression and suicide and PTSD, right? Anxiety, and then the softer ones such as despair or existential angst, not knowing what life is about or clarity of purpose. All of these things that our modern society will say, this person is suicidal, let's hospitalize them, or this person is depressed, let's hospitalize, they need medication. All of those things are just protective mechanisms. Those parts are there to protect you, and they come sometimes from your lineage. This is crazy. This is now getting wild, right? When a child is born, they this light, right? This glowing bout of light, with DNA and genetics from their ancestors and all of that. And when the child comes out of the womb and they first experience their first disconnection from the siblings, meaning that they go through a traumatic experience. Let's say they bullied at school. It's not going to big ass trauma. And they disconnect from the light. We say, hey, they take the child's innocence. We're talking about that light. Now, when someone takes the innocence, and the child comes back and you're like, oh, Unjan, what happened at school? Now I need to go and you stand up for the child. Right? You stand up for the child, and you take them in, you move them to a new school. The child goes back to the light. Safety and love. Now it's not a traumatic experience. That's why you have two people who go through the same thing but deal with it differently. Because that one receives safety. So what we call trauma is something that happens outside of support. And there is support to take you out. It's not traumatic. You can be on a car accident and get on a car and get on a car and drive next to you. But now, what has happened now is that what happens when a child doesn't have a support structure? What the energy of the child says, it first looks at the lineage. How did the lineage cope? Right? And then if it can't find the answers, they create its own energy. So the energy here would be, I need to escape. Because this painful thing is happening to me. All I'm going to do, I'm just going to act as if I don't exist. So that no one can bully me at school. Now we've created what? An energy system around that child. In internal family systems therapy, it's called the past. We've created a past called the stage. You're going through PTSD, you're seeing people kill each other, right? And then your brain is like, we need to be careful and paranoid. So it creates a past. There's no support system that's going to make you feel safe. So now you're going around, you're paranoid. Now you go to therapy and they say, you're paranoid, you do my feelings. And we need to work on that part. And that part typically is inherited, typically, as a coping mechanism of the lineage of that particular person. And there are ways around to actually talk to that part. You can actually talk to it, and you find it's okay, what do you want to do us? No, for me, it was escape for a very long time. I need to get out of it, I need to get out, I need to get out. Even the drugs are a form of escape. You try to deal with addiction, I tried to deal with addiction. It wasn't like, the more we addict. Addiction. I needed to deal with the energy of escape, right? Why do I want to get out? Why? What is this thing? And then the energy, when you interrogate it, right, through like work that we do, when you talk to the energy, you find that it says, I came to Lwazi's life when I was 6 years old. I came because this was what has happened to Lwazi. I came because if Lwazi had made meaning of that experience at such a young age, he would have been crazy by now. So I was there to rescue Lwazi. So that's why Lwazi is saying life has no meaning. Because if he had put meaning of that experience, he'd be nuts. So the energy says life has no meaning. And you find that energy is in the lineage. So when we're now doing the work, we are working with that and removing that. From a psycho-spiritual perspective, meaning psychology and spiritual perspective. That's where I come in. Where it's like the middle. We're doing the psychological part of helping that part be free from you. Because you find that part is burdened as well. Because it's trying to protect the 6-year-old boy. And this boy is in his late 30s or whatever. And it's still there. Trying to protect me. Making me escape all the time. I need to get out, I need to get out, I need to get out. I can't sit with myself. Because when I sit with myself, maybe I might remember. So I need to get out. I need something to take. And then now, we work on that, and eventually that part is free. Now, how does that now work in modern psychology? Where we're going to numb it down. What we are doing in modern psychology Not all therapists are bad, I work with but some have this thing of creating a manager. You create another internal manager who's going to manage all these different parts that came through because no one was supporting you as a child. So as you keep growing and you're going through these different disconnections from the life, the innocence, these different parts come and come and come. Next thing is you're insomnia because all these parts are talking at night. The one is saying we can do it, another will come on, let's sleep, another. Like you're having all these different things, and then therapy comes in and says, we're gonna do a perfect manager to manage this. You need to learn boundaries, you need to learn this, you need to get out of where you were doing drugs, you need to go live in a new place. But the child who was going through that is still there. And then 15 years down the line, then you try to go to ultimate medicine. And that's where, in most cases, maybe that's why I see so they may be in a more pessimistic manner in therapy, because I meet people at that end where they like, I've tried everything. You know, I've been in this for 15 years or 20 years, whatever. I've tried everything, nothing works for me. And those are the people that I'm like, okay, let me show you anyway. This addiction of yours, you're just trying to get out of something. Tell me, what are you trying? Let me interrogate the energy, then it tells us the truth. Then we work on. Then when we do the work now, we are actually fixing the wound, we're giving the child support again. And we are not only doing that, because that creates another manager, we are also now teaching the person to come back to themselves. And remember I said I learned a lot from indigenous tribes. There's a rite of passage which is as sacred as bullshit nowadays, where you are being brought back to you, where now you are your own parent, here now you belong to yourself, where now you are loved by yourself, where now you are enough, where now you are, and you are being brought, and you are being brought in as a celebration. Everyone comes as a sacred vow, the devotion of love. You're finally a human being. You will belong to your mother, you belong to your brotherhood, your sisterhood, now you belong to yourself. Now you can go out and get married and make children, versus competing with your children being married for mother's love. So there's those processes that I take people through. Oh my God, I've said a mouthful.
That's what Moya's about though, right?
Oh, that's crazy. It's getting me nuts.
But that is so helpful. And then just to end off, because we always hear about ayahuasca, but then there's an element of being scared of it because you're like, is it drugs? Is it drugs? So what is this veil around ayahuasca?
Oh yes. So there's ayahuasca, there's most psychedelics. What was happening is that they were starting to come into helping people quite a lot break away from the systems and the establishment. And different people were depressed. And then back in the 60s, the establishment, which is the West, decided that we need to categorize these things as drugs. Because now they're hurting. First of all, they're going to hurt pharmaceutical companies like you will not believe. Because now, if you don't have a client who's going to be using some SSRI pill for 30 years, simply because they attended something, then that's dangerous for them. So they then now were like, okay, because people are rebelling, because these plants, they make you have a philosophical argument as to what is life. And you start questioning things that are anti-life quite a lot. You probably start, let's not, I don't want to go to war and kill another human soul. You start valuing life like you used to. So the establishments in America, that's why it started, then it went into the UK and Britain. They decided that these are drugs and these should be illegal. And that's why, like here in South Africa, for example, some plants are in the middle, like your Wachuma, they're in the middle. Even Nala weight, which I also use. They are also in the middle, they're not categorized. But some plants are categorized as super illegal. Like your Mexican mushroom, like those type of stuff, like it's illegal. But it's a rite of part, like those plants, as much as they're illegal, they are sacred and divine. That's why they've been used like this. They've been cloned, and I'm talking about mushrooms, they've been cloned, they've been done this and all of that, because they've been pulled away from their sacredness. Someone in Mexico takes 3 years to be able to heal people with this. Just like people let them someone is doing that, and then they come to the but now they try to minimize and reduce and make this seem like it's just something you play with. Every January, I get a call of a parent who's saying that their child is paranoid for the past 2 weeks, they don't know what they took. Because if that's how the world has become, like people play with these type of things and they're not aware that as much as you are visiting those things and you're, oh, I visited this, it's also visiting you. So you guys are playing. You have to be careful, but it's okay with, I'd say that it's not as extreme with things like shrooms, you know, I don't work with shrooms, but it's not as extreme, I'd say it's not extreme because they're more of like the child, you know, versus the other adults, which is your Iboga, your Wachuma, your Ayahuasca.
Sure.
The crazy story about Ayahuasca, I was told during a journey of Wachuma, that doesn't mean a man's gonna come and gonna give you medicine. I'm like, hey, these guys. Always telling me things, like teaching me, now they're telling me some more. Then I posted something on a personal Facebook. I said, oh man, guys, you know, there's something called psychedelics. It was the first time me just saying that. And it's so beautiful. That's all I said. Just a small video.
Yeah.
Then I had some guy from halfway across the world. He said, he called me and was like, hey, Lwazi, this is not a scam. I'm going to send you some medicine. I'm like, what medicine? I'm going to send you ayahuasca. And I never touched any aya. It's like, when I send you the plants, brother, tell you how to use it. Like, what? Oh, okay. Then I just waited, I think it was like 2 months almost. Then it comes. 50,000 rands worth of ayahuasca. That is how I got into the journey. You know, now I can even relate to shamans across the world, you know, because of these, what the plants have taught me. It's crazy.
Thank you. Yes, I got it. Yes. I was make sure I take out of everything I extract so that the audience can be happy. Moya, right? There you have it, medicinal healing. Didn't I was curious about this ayahuasca thing, and all right.
Yeah.
But he did say that I'm not really.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining.
Well, of course.
Who are you when all you were has been diluted by lies and white lines cancelling out all that which has been written of your history? Why do you look at yourself as a mystery? Doesn't the sun shine because you open your eyes? Doesn't the moon stay situated within the same stars your DNA sparkles off? Your spirit knows that surely corner into it off. Buza umoya so you may return to being well off. Because spiritually you are rich, yet your ancestors cry because you are out of reach. But yours is to command all elements while God takes inspiration from the very mirror she looked at to become. Remember who you are and never finish just when they think that with you they are done.